Ladies and gentlemen, this is Joe's Classic Video Games back with another cool arcade repair video for you today. We're going to do a little newer one today, but we've had a lot of people ask about these, so we figured we would shoot one. We recently sold a Silver Strike bowling arcade game to someone, and then we're ready to... so basically, if we have a game in, we will, if we have multiples of the same title, we'll wait till we sell one, and then we'll fix another one. So basically, we're going to be fixing a Silver Strike bowling to sell, to replace in our showroom the one that we actually sold. So you are looking at the back of a Silver Strike bowling cabinet. This is a dedicated IT cabinet. And I don't know, since it's got the white sides, I don't know if this would have definitely been a Silver Strike. I don't know if the first year that they were white as well, but these were all golden tea cabinets originally. Which is probably what's going on with this. See how it's got the serial number or the sticker on the back, but it's on top of another sticker. That one under it probably says Incredible Technologies Golden Tea. But this is back in our storage room, and this is what we're starting with. As you can see, there's nothing down at the bottom, but there is a monitor in it. So these are nice medium res, or they may even be VGA monitors. We'll figure all that out though. There is a pop can down in there. I would imagine that has something to do with Joe. Diet Mountain Dew. Yep, Joe confirmed. So basically everything's missing out of this one except for the monitor and the cabinet. So let me walk around the front and I'll show you what that looks like before we dig it all out. Alright, so we're crammed in here. We'll pull this out in a minute where you can see it better, and then eventually we'll have it next door where you can see the whole thing by the end of the video. But this is the cabinet here in the back. Joe's taking the trash out. Look, we have all types here, folks. We have the Silver Strike, which is next to a Wizard of War. Look at that. Look, the artwork procurement has begun. Next to a Wizard of War, which we'll be doing for you 80s video games fans, arcade game fans. But this Silver Strike is in pretty nice shape. I like it. This is a good little starting place. They made different overlays for them. This is like a hard plastic. This is the cool one. I call this the Batman one because it's black and blue and yellow. Batman colors. And then down on the front, everything looks good. It's missing the bill acceptor, which you don't really need. It depends on, you know, if it's going out to somebody's home, they don't really need a bill acceptor. But everything looks cool. On a Silver Strike and a Golden Tea, you have this shelf down under here. But on a Silver Strike, I believe there's like an in-out board that goes up here. We're going to put all this stuff back in it. It depends on the version, though. The trackball mounts here. Buttons here, the harness is missing and everything, so we got our work cut out for us on this one. But the important thing is we're starting with some good bones. So we bought this at an auction very inexpensively because it's just an empty cabinet, and it's a big old cabinet, so a lot of people are not looking to take on a project this size. But it's a dedicated, or close enough to dedicated, Silver Strike bowling cabinet, and we like those things and we think it's a fun game, so we're going to put it all back together. So we'll pull this out of here and put it in the middle of the room, and the main thing that we need to do is we need to start working on the computer. We can do all of that on the bench though. So what runs this is there's a little PC unit in the bottom, so I'll show you what those look like on these systems. I'm not like the world's most knowledgeable about them, but it's the same one that runs the more modern, or some of the more modern Golden Tea games too. So we'll pull that out and we'll look at it and see if we can get one doing its thing, that we can pop in this baby and get this up and running Silver Strike bowling. Alright, so in our back room we have two of these Silver Strike computers that we have picked up along the way. Originally they were both Silver Strike 2007 Bowlers Club boards, or computers, CPUs, whatever you want to call them. Now, for all you computer people out there, I am not an expert on computers, so if I say the wrong phrase or I do something that doesn't make any sense or is a bad idea, feel free to correct me below, but be nice about it, okay? I'm not claiming to be an expert on this stuff. I'm just telling you that with a little work, we can get one of these Silver Strikes up and running. But these are the boards that were originally in them. This one's got this weird little attachment. I guess you put the cord in and then that snaps over it and holds it in place. That's kind of cool. Okay, so this one, I can see a rat's nest inside of it. So I don't know about that. This top one, we'll take the top off of it and see what it looks like inside. Maybe we'll get lucky and it's a decent one. Okay, so here we are. As you can see, there is a ton of dust. That is actually completely blocked. See my hand behind it? With dust, so we'll get all that out of there. But tip this sucker up. Whoa. Whoa. Okay, so here's the motherboard. Got one stick of RAM in there. It is it's upside down so you guys can't see it, but it is a D865 GLC. D865 GLC. It says Intel desktop board, but I don't know if that's actually made by Intel or if they're just saying that's the processor that it uses. So I don't know. So the problem with these usually whenever we take them apart is bulged caps, like capacitors that the tops have popped on them, and I don't see any like that, which is good, right? So I don't have any clue though if this thing works, but we're going to try it. But the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to vacuum it all out. So anyway, so that's the motherboard. We've got the RAM. Here's the processor. Power supplies over here. Yeah, it's literally just a PC. Here's the video card. We'll go over that here in a minute. I got some new ones of those. Yeah, baby. I don't know why this one is all still in there. It's like I haven't even used this or tested it. Joe, could we have got this from somewhere where we didn't even try it yet?
Maybe.
We may have never even tried this. And then on these Nighthawks, there's this other little board right here, hid over here behind the power supply, that is just kind of like a splitter. It just sends power and some audio over to the in-out board. There's nothing really too much on there. And then of course we got the battery here. I wonder why I haven't used this one yet. Maybe it's just an extra one that's been around, because I don't see any like major damage. A lot of times you'll see like something's been spilled in it or rats have been in it, but this one actually looks pretty good. It's just it's all dusty, but I don't see any capacitors that the top is popped on them, which is usually a good sign that if the top's popped, you know, basically if you get one in and it's like that, it'll reset or not boot all the way and all of that. So I don't know, maybe the board's bad anyways though. But okay, so the first thing we're going to do, of course the hard drive's missing, but we can take care of that. The first thing we're going to do is we're going to vacuum it all out. So I'm going to try to get it as clean as I can, and then we're going to test it and see if we can get it to do anything. So we'll vacuum it first. Look at it sparkle. Look at it sparkle compared to how it was. Wow. Wow, I didn't even take anything apart yet. Look at it. Wow. How cool is that? All right, so this is more like what they look like when they were new, I guess, than how it was. Okay, so I think what we'll do is we'll hook up a monitor to it and power it on and see if this thing will do anything. We haven't taken the RAM out yet. We haven't taken the video card out yet or any of that. But we'll hook up a monitor and see if we get anything out of it to start with. Okay, so we haven't powered it up yet, but I ran power to the power supply. I plugged in an old keyboard in case something comes up on the screen. I need to hit something. I plugged in a VGA cord, and we've got our trusty old E-Machines monitor here, which we've got powered up. So we're going to see if we get anything, and see if we get any beep errors or what the deal is. Well, that's a good sign. Incredible Technology splash screen. Now there's no hard drive in it. Okay, so Intel, you guys might be interested in this if you're trying to build one of these or something. Intel desktop boards integrated to build, integrity to build on. Yeah. Intel Corporation D865 GLC desktop board. So that's the motherboard we were looking at. The serial number and all that. I don't think you guys can screw me over if you have the serial number, so I think I'm all right. You know, they've got them hackers on the internet. Intel DDR266 operating in single channel dynamic paging mode. I think this board, if you put 2 matched RAMs in, it will do something different. So we may mess with that, I don't know. But it's got 256 megabytes of RAM in it. Legacy keyboard detected, which I think just means an old keyboard, right? CMOS GPNV checksum bad. CMOS date time not set. Press F4 to run setup. So basically what it's telling us is that the battery is dead, I think. So I'm going to turn it back off and we'll pull the battery out and we'll test the voltage on it and then we'll put a new battery in it. Alright, so I'm actually checking the battery with one hand so I can film it. And it is dead as a doornail. It should be 3 volts. It's a old school Panasonic CR2032. But guess what? I got brand new ones. Alright, so we got these brand new Sony ones. They're always marked Sony, but man, they're so cheap, it's hard to believe they really are Sony, but we keep using them and they work. So we'll pop this in there and then we'll see if we can set up the BIOS. Okay, so we've got the battery back in it. Let's turn it back on. See if we can get anywhere. Incredible Technology splash screen. 256 RAM. It's the same thing because the battery was dead and we just replaced it, so it needs setup. Press F4 to run setup. Oh snap, we're in the BIOS. Okay, so maybe y'all will care about this too. BIOS version, none of this means much to me. Processor type I, 2 gigahertz, system bus speed 400 megahertz, system memory speed 266 megahertz, L2 cache RAM 128 kilobytes, maybe that's built into the motherboard maybe. Total memory 256 megabytes. Memory mode single channel, memory channel A, it's a 256 megabyte DDR 333. So I think if you put another one in that matches it, or you may have to put it in B slot 0. I think you got to put one in A slot 0 and one in B slot 0. Computer experts, fact check me below. And then it says additional system information. So the only one that I ever really know anything about and that I'm always interested in setting back up is if you go to, maybe you go to power, okay? After power failure, power on. Now since this is coming up with like a Silver Strike splash screen, I would assume that it's got, that they worked a special BIOS or something, whatever, that has it where the default is this. So on some things though, whenever you have this problem in a in an arcade game, this will not be turned on. You need to turn it on. So that's because every time you turn off a Silver Strike, the power is failing because you don't turn it off properly. You don't tell the system to boot down or anything. You just pull the plug out of the wall, or you hit the power switch on the back and it just crashes the system. So every time it does that, you need the power to come back on the system when it comes back up. And then it does a check and it's all kind of set up a certain way. And this runs on Linux, whatever it's called, which I don't know anything about, but that's what it runs on. It doesn't run on Windows. Okay, so I think everything's cool. I guess the boot, silent boot is enabled, whatever that means. Intel Rapid BIOS boot is enabled. I don't know what the supervisor password. Boot configuration. What's the one where you tell it? It's not that one. what order to boot in. Oh, we needed to set the clock. Duh. Main, there we go. Joseph, what time is it?
3:40.
3:40. Okay, modify the build is plus or minus. $15. Oh, come on. I hit the wrong thing. Select screen, select item. 15. Tab. 1540. I know to a lot of y'all watching this is like easy peasy, but hey, we're not experts at this kind of stuff, but we're gonna figure it out. Okay, today is January, that's right. Is today the 15th, Joe?
Yep.
And it is the year of our Lord 2020. And it is Wednesday, so that must be right. Alright, so we're going to save and exit, F10. Okay, now it should kind of try to... It'll come up now and say that we don't have a hard drive, I would assume. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, so it can't find anything because we don't have a hard drive in it. So I've got to find a hard drive, and we got to decide which version we want to make this cabinet because all the hard drives are different. So let me see what we got. Okay, folks, so I have some older hard drives here. Yes, these all still run on hard drive. I guess you could do solid state, but I haven't figured that out yet on both Silver Strikes. This is an old Silver Strike Bowlers Club 2007 originally, but they may have updated it. The way these worked was you got some CDs you hooked up, or DVDs, you hooked up a DVD-ROM to it, and it updated the hard drive that was in it. You didn't even have to, I think on these you didn't even have to take the case apart. I think you plugged it in via USB. So this could have been updated, I don't know. I need one that I can make a copy of or something. I've got this Silver Strike Live one, but I can't make a copy of this because it won't boot all the way. It's already screwed. And then I've got some not too old hard drives that I can copy onto. I need to look into if anybody has done a solid state Silver Strike hard drive yet. These are like 80 gig. Looks like that one's 82 gig. This one's 80 gig. So I'm gonna plug this one in and just see if it comes up and gives me a splash screen and tells me what version it is or something. Now these won't boot all the way without, there's a little security dongle that you put on it and a in-out board that you put on it. But those are the same for various versions, so that can change depending on the hardware. So I mean the software. So I kind of need to see what software I have first before we try to get that to work. So we're going to attempt this one. I'll plug this one in, and if it does work, I'll make a copy of it on one of these newer drives, and I'll look into making it a solid state one. It's a SCSI. Is that SCSI? Again, we're not computer guys. So it's a little bit better than the old IDE ones, but it's old. So we're going to plug that in and see if it'll do anything, if that one will boot with that in it. Okay, we have it precariously perched. Hopefully whenever it starts spinning, it won't fall off of there. Maybe it's fried and it won't start spinning anyway. Very well may be fried. I don't feel it doing anything. Okay, let's try our one that won't fully boot. Maybe it'll partially boot. Okay, I heard that one spin up, but it says right on it it won't boot fully. So I think it comes up, but it runs really slow or something. Lilo 22.3.2 bio uncompressing Linux. How do you pronounce it, people? Linux? Linux Lewis. Don't punch me. Okay, so Nighthawk system build version 9.26. You might want to watch some of this. Creating SATA temporary and variable variations file system, mounting proc file system, mounting root file system read-only, checking root file system, checking dynamic file system, checking static file system progress. Warning, do not turn game off during this file system check. Under extreme circumstances, this check can take up to a half hour to complete. Please be patient. We're at 93.6. Checking database file system, same thing. 61.8%. I believe where it hung before was like after all this. Okay, checking database backup file system. Okay, mounting file systems, disabling write caching, creating developer directory, creating variable subdirectories, activating swap space, setting clock, starting loop back interface, setting host names, loading modules, checking dynamic data, checking for software patch. If this thing will boot, I'll see if I can make a copy of it. But I think I tried that in the past and I couldn't get it to copy. Checking for software patch. These things are notorious about taking forever to start up. You put more RAM in them, it makes it a little faster. Maybe it's crashed on us already. Nope. Patch status, initializing. It says, hey, let's software patch. And since we don't have the in-out board connected and the little security dongle, it doesn't like that either, so it's not going to come all the way up. But we may get some kind of splash screen or something where it can tell me. Well, I think I already know that's a Silver Strike Live. Let's see. It's growling over there. I can hear it checking stuff. I think it does this every time it boots. It does this patch stuff, so I don't think it should take anywhere near this long. But we shall see. Now, I do have a file of the 2007 version that I copied, so I might try to just burn from that file and see. Proceeding, it failed. Patch status failed. Proceeding with system startup. Restoring sound. Initiation, entering run level 5. Checking for operating system update. Starting database verifying. Checking for database update. No update. Starting database maintenance. Boy, that sounds fun. Okay. Error 12. A disconnected USB in-out board is being detected. Please turn off game. Be certain all connections are in place. Wait 10 seconds, then turn game back on. But that's actually what you want it to say. So it's trying to do its thing, but it failed that patch. So maybe we try to hook it up how it is and see if it'll come up into gameplay as a Silver Strike Live, which is actually what the marquee says on it. So, okay, so again, I'm not the greatest at this, but I'm running this on Windows 10, and I've got it plugged in with a power supply through a USB cable into the PC, and it's I'm using HDD Raw Copy tool 1.10 free, which is free. It's a real cool little program where you can make copies of hard drives, and it's just, you just tell it, hey, pick this one to start. Source is the Hitachi that was plugged into the USB, and then target, you just tell it a file, and it tells you pick the source. You just pick it and hit next, and then it says pick the target, and it says double click to create a file, and you can double click it, name it, and I just came up with Silver Strike Bowling Live image. And then you hit start, and it starts. So what it's going to do is it's going to go through and it's going to try to copy every sector on it, which is the only way I've been able to figure out how to copy these. But it will hang, and this particular program is really good. It'll tell me if something, if it had a bad sector, or something screwed up, or whatever. So it's going to go through it, and I'll come back and tell you if it succeeded or if it failed. So keep your fingers crossed, because it. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. It stopped right as I was talking. Let's see what happens. It might tell us that's a bad one. And if it finds a bad one, I don't think you can, like if you copy that, I don't think it's really gonna, you're gonna have the same problem in your next one. There may be a way to like, yep, see. Read error occurred at offset blah blah blah, uncorrectable error. So I don't believe that's going to work. If I burn a hard drive with that file, it'll come up and have the same problems that this hard drive probably has. So you may be able to run like a disk management tool of some kind that you know, locks that bad sector and then puts that info, patches that info on something else. You know how it does like the database maintenance and all that, or if somebody really knew what they were doing, they might just be able to go into the code and tell what screwed up or whatever. But okay, so I'm looking through my stash at the in-out boards that I have, and I've only got the original one and the Silver Strike Live one, but I don't have the Silver Strike Live hardware. I mean software, because that drive won't copy. So I've got to make it either a Silver Strike Live or the original Silver Strike, which is this one. So they have this one didn't have a modem, and then the later ones all had a modem. And then I think that this chip here has something to do with the version. But I've had this one in a Silver Strike Live before, so I know this one's for a Silver Strike Live. And this is the very first one, Silver Strike Bowling US, and that's the first security chip. So I guess I'm just going to have to make it an original Silver Strike. Now the original Silver Strike works just fine because it's got there's a Vegas bowling mode that's only on that one offline. That's only on the later ones online, but you can't put the later ones online unless they're some of the newest versions. So, and then you have to have an account with IT and all that. So my whole point is, I would make it a 2007, but I don't have the in-out board, and or I would make it a 2009, but I don't have the in-out board. This one may do it, but the whole thing's confusing. I know this one's a live, and I know this was an original, so we're going to do an original now. And I don't have the 2009 software anyway. Okay, so there's two little security boards. This is the 17 board, and then this is the 19 board. It has nothing to do with the year it was made. It's just this, it's a security dongle. And without this, it will not do its thing. It'll come up and say, hey, you don't have the security dongle. And there's different ones for different games. So if you're if it's a bags game or a power putt game or Golden Tee Live, it has a different number, so it might be number 15 instead of 17 or 19. But since we're doing the original Golden Tee, I mean the original Silver Strike, we're using this in-out board and that dongle. Now this dongle is for one of the later online versions, and this board is for a Silver Strike Live, so these two would go together just fine if I had some Silver Strike Live software, but I don't. So we're going to make it an original one. So I'll put all this stuff in the cabinet and we'll wire it up and see what we get going. Oh, by the way, I have the original software, so I'm going to burn a hard drive of the original one. Check this out. These are the video cards that it shipped with, and you can buy these brand new, cheap, as of 2020. So again, I don't know much about computers, but this is the actual card it shipped with. Now you can get a more updated one, but I don't usually do that because they don't all work, and you know, this is the one it came with and it works fine with that, so I plug and play. Now I do add an extra stick of RAM usually to make it have half a gig of RAM. FX 5200-TD128LF 128 megabyte DDR, DV out, DVI, blah 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 blah. So you saw the one that was in it earlier. Brand new version of the same thing. Check that out. Isn't that cool? So we bought a few of those, so we got a little stockpile for when ours needs one. So we shouldn't have any reason that it won't come up and play. We also found the cables to hook up the in-out board and the to hook it up to the CPU down on the bottom, or the case down on the bottom. So still waiting on the hard drive. Okay, folks, I'm going to show you how it works. We don't have everything in it yet, but we've got the in-out board mounted here. On some of the dedicated games, it actually mounts in the back corner where we're going to show you the security dongle. So the in-out board mounts here. There are four things coming up from the bottom. So the VGA cable comes up and connects to this board from the back of the computer. The audio cables, the RCA cables, there's two, come up from that slot we were showing on the back up to here and connect into the in-out board. There is a power connector that also comes from that same little board over by the power supply on the back that comes up here that gives power to the board. And then there's a USB cable that connects this board to the CPU, and that's how it sends its data back and forth. And that's all you need. Now, this is an in-out board. It controls the inputs and the outputs. So the outputs are things like the video and the sound. The inputs are things like the trackball, which plugs in right here, and the start button, the buttons, the coin door, things like that will all plug in here. So we're going to put a JAMA harness on this and wire all of that up, since this was a gutted cabinet whenever we got it. So the video you would wire, so the video comes up through this VGA connector. The in-out board can change the resolution depending on how these dip switches are set and which software version you have. So you can make a CGA, VGA, EGA, and I think Super VGA. But I'll show you how we did that in a minute. So we're gonna put a harness on here and then wire up the buttons and everything, and we're gonna make a harness for the trackball to plug in here. We also, on this harness, we will send the audio out to the speakers. So right now there's no sound, but the sound comes up from the CPU on these RCA cables, and then this board sends them out on the JAMA harness going to the wiring. JAMA means I think it probably says that. No, it doesn't say JAMA on it, but JAMA means it's like the Japanese Amusement Machine Manufacturers Association, something like that. They came up with the standard way of wiring a arcade game board, and everybody kind of conforms to it a little bit. So you see the PCBs. I mean, the PC is down in there. We don't have the top on it yet, but remember it has a lid that we can put over it. There's several fans in it. One on the CPU, one on the case, one on the power supply. So whenever we turn it on, you'll hear it go crazy. We've bolted in our original Silver Strike hard drive over here on the side. On the back, here's the little board we were talking about with the RCA cables going up to the in-out board. It also has the little power cord connected to it that goes up to the in-out board. That kind of stuff you could make yourself if you didn't have. And then the USB cable comes out of the connectors on the bottom up to the USB input on the in-out board. And then the VGA, normally you would connect the VGA cable that we have up there on the in-out board. All of these wires were bundled together. We had them out of another cabinet, but normally you would connect the VGA cable to your video card and send that up through that in-out board and everything. But since this monitor is a digital monitor that accepts VGA, we just ran a VGA cable, and we could have used that one, but it was all zip tied in, so we left it. We could have just ran, we just ran a VGA cable straight from the video card straight to the monitor. These wires here in the cabinet are the speaker wires, so we don't have any of the sound hooked up yet or anything like that. And then the only other thing is you have this USB cable running over here to this what they call the CID, the security dongle, as we call it, or as some people call it. So we've now got it set up as just a regular Silver Strike. So we'll turn it on and watch it go through its boot up process, and you can see what you think. Let me plug it up here. I'll turn off the lights so you can read it a little better. So we've got lights on there. There's our incredible technology splash screen. The monitor is turning on and off because of the resolution changes and things like that whenever the CPU boots up. You can see it's just flying through it. Remember, we've still only got 256 megabytes of RAM. Bam, just like that. running right through it. It will come to this weird, yeah, that screen, weird crosshatch screen. And then here's the most important, look at this. So stop it on this if you can. So what that was it was telling you the software version, the hardware version, and then the security version, the CID, that little dongle version. So if any of those are different, the game won't boot up. So that was my whole problem. I didn't have I've got the only software that I have is the original version, which is this one, which is, by the way, again, the original version is a damn good version because you can play the Vegas bowling without being online. And the later versions, you can't be online anymore, so you can't play Vegas bowling. The reason they did that is because it was illegal in some places, supposedly. So, the software, the only software we had was 2004, which is this version, 2007, which was the 2007 Bowlers Club, and that's it. So I didn't have a 2007 security chip for the in-out board, but I had the original ones, and I had a Silver Strike Live security chip. But the Silver Strike Live hard drive that I had, I couldn't copy the software. So you need the software for whatever version you're doing, you need the security chip for the in-out board for whichever version you're doing, and you need the security dongle for whichever version you're doing. There's only two dongles, 17 and 19. But we got it up and running as a regular Silver Strike. So what I'll do now is we're going to update the RAM, and let's see what it does if it's got like twice as much RAM in it. Let's see if this thing will just fly. Let's see if we can get it super fast. All right, I doubled the RAM, so it's got 512 in it now. They say if you go any higher than that, you don't see a noticeable improvement, so we'll see. And I didn't put a second stick. I just put one 512 stick in because I didn't have a second one that perfectly matched that one. So let's see if it's any faster. Yeah, I think the boot was a lot faster, right? I mean, the video and all that's not going to run faster because you wouldn't want it to, but I think it booted up a lot faster. The originally had 128 megabytes. So if you put it up to 512, you're rocking and rolling, and it makes all of the little animations smooth and everything. And if you've got that correct video card in there, it looks pretty good. But I heard you can update that too, but I never really mess with that. Okay, so next we have to mess with the marquee. We have to wire this sucker up, and then we'll see where we get. All right, folks, so we are mainly there. We've got it up and running and everything, but this cabinet had a monitor in it, and it seems like everything's pretty cool, but we're going to basically adjust the monitor a little bit. Actually, system tests. Video tests. Screen size adjustment. Okay, so we've got a, I don't even know what kind of monitor this is, but we'll see. Is that Neotech? Is this the, no? What is this, Joe?
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a Neotech. It's the famous Neotech 500DX. Seen it 1,000 times. All right, so it's a digital one, so it's got a little remote board here. So you can go through and adjust different things. So the first thing we're going to go to is the horizontal position. Oh, man, this one button is touchy. It's so touchy, I couldn't even tell I was hitting it. There we go. What do you think? I can't tell from here.
That's good.
Is that good? Centered?
Mm-hmm.
Does it need to go wider?
I think that's about all you got.
No, I got width. Oh, you're saying I can't, if I go any wider, it'll be worse?
Yep.
Okay, vertical position. This is the one that's screwed up. If I can get this. If I can get this thing to work. There we go. One of the buttons is like smashed, but if I mess with it, it gets it. A little bit more, right?
Mm-hmm.
Timed out on me again. That's probably it.
Yep.
Joe gives it the seal of approval. Vertical size. I don't think we go any higher because of that top. Rotation. Don't think we need any rotation. Pin cushion looks fine to me. I guess maybe is this bowed a little bit?
Slightly, but I don't know if you're going to get any better.
Wrong way. Is that better? Or does that work? Nice.
About the same.
Okay, trapezoid, parallelogram, pin balance, advanced select, don't need to worry about that. Color settings, I like the color. The on-screen adjustment, reset, the language, I speak English, exit, you can degauss it. Bam! What y'all know about that? You want me to do it again? Won't do it twice that quick. Contrast. We need to go to the color setting to get to that. Okay. Contrast adjustments. So I don't know if we can get this perfect, but we'll see. All right, increase the brightness until the background becomes visible. Then decrease the brightness until the 1% to 3% boxes just disappear. Adjust the contrast so that all frames are clearly distinct. You can't always get this perfect if it's an older monitor. Okay, we need to do the... Oh no, I should have done the brightness. Brightness, okay. We're gonna need a little more, Joe. We need a little more, or wait a minute. No, it's perfect. 1 through 3 I can't see, and I can just barely see 4. Perfect. All right. Adjust the contrast so that all frames are clearly distinct. Yeah, I think so. Can't you see them all?
Mm-hmm.
Should I try to go up?
I think it's good.
Look how bright. We had a guy come in one time. He said that the screen was so bright, it was hurting his eyes. Like as a complaint. Wanted to know if we could make it less bright. Sweet. All right, we're gonna go out to the game and see what it looks like in game. Oh, my eyes! It's hurting my eyes, Joe. Look how cool. If you're getting a little pattern in the screen, the Moray pattern, the Moron pattern, that you can't see that in person. I think if you hit ball, this one, it changes it during the track mode. So there's the people that designed it. 3 games for a player, shoot for the high series. Okay, so we've got everything hooked up. Joe's finishing up the wiring now. We'll clean it up a little bit and then we'll check it out all together. Okay, we got it cleaned up. Got the wiring fixed up, finished up, and moved it over into our showroom where we will let people play it and buy it if they want. This is one of those games that it doesn't get any respect yet. One of these days, people will say, yeah, there was this old bowling game I really used to like. Silver Strike Bowling. Boy, you don't see those much anymore. And it's because everybody's trashing them. But we're saving them. We're buying them in pieces and putting them back together. Check it out. Not bad. So the cabinet itself was in pretty good shape to begin with. Now, if we want to start nitpicking, let's nitpick, okay? So this is for all the haters out there that like to put snarky comments on the on the YouTube videos. So at some point, somebody has swapped out the CRT. Like I said, it was a Neotech NT500DX, which is more of a flat screen. So they've swapped it out, and the bezel, see how the bezel is curved? It doesn't fit up against the CRT as well. But who cares, right? And whenever they did that, they had to move the mounts apparently for the monitor. So these holes here were the original places that they were. And so when they touched it up, they painted it with a kind of an off-color white over their original bolt holes. So if you see that, what has been seen cannot be unseen, right? Same on this side. But it's got the artwork on it. Nice, clean looking little cabinet. The original Silver Strike didn't have that control panel. Like I was calling out the Batman version. That was for like some of the later ones. But everything does the same thing. And I like the way this one looks better anyway. So that's not perfect. You know, we could nitpick things. I like it. I think we did pretty good considering what we have, just putting parts back together. The craziest part of it is they had a fully working monitor still in the cabinet. They cut out all the wiring but left the freaking monitor in there that's worth a couple $100. I don't know. Maybe they were trying to maim it. And by maim, I mean M-A-I-M, maim it, cut pieces off of it. This isn't really a great maim cabinet just because it's just big, it's huge. I guess you could do it. We put a trackball in it that we rebuilt. Got that bolted down. Put new switches in it, wired it up, wired up the sound, wired up the coin door. Got the coin door bulbs doing what they do. We replaced the card reader, but it's not hooked up because you have to be online to use it. And none of these old Silver Strikes can get online anymore. We put a bill acceptor in there, but it doesn't work because most of these we sell for people for their home. They're not gonna. It's gonna be on free play probably. Anyway, some exceptions though. So she's up and running. So it's got twice as much RAM in it. So we're gonna play it a little bit and see if anything looks like it's acting up, or if it looks nice and smooth like it's supposed to, right? So I'll hook up the tripod and we'll play a couple games on it. Okay, so I put you a little bit off to the side so that I've got good room to swing. You know, you got to swing on these really good. She's pretty good. Okay, we'll play it a little bit.
Welcome to Silver Strike Bowling. Hi, I'm Matt Kern. Announcing today's game is Randy Peterson, holder of 13 career titles. Over to you, Randy.
Thanks, Matt. It's great to be here. Welcome to Victory Lane in picturesque San Antonio, Texas.
So you can be a dude or a chick.
All right, here we go.
And you can change the weight of the ball. And they have worked that out where like it really does change the physics of the ball. But I'm just going to use the regular one. And then you can just throw it straight if you want.
He's a straight shooter. Leaves a fast 8. This should be an easy pickup.
You'd think.
Converts to fast 8. Nice cover. Stay right there.
And then this thing has the most useless buttons on the ever. You remember these incredible technologies had already made Golden Tee, so this layout of the control panel is exactly the same as on a Golden Tee. So let me throw one before it times out. So
Comes up with a wrap. Ball 2, frame 2.
the reason they did that was so that you could put the kit in a Golden Tee cabinet if you wanted to, right? So the button layout is the same, but the 3 buttons on the left on a Golden Tee are rotate the player left, rotate the player right, and then a flyby to show you what the hole looks like. Because you need to see what the layout of the course is.
Picks up 1 for the spare.
And then if you rotate the golfer left or rotate the golfer right, you can hit the ball differently depending on what you're looking at, right? Let's see if I can throw a little more tricky.
Well, unfortunately, that's not the way you want to follow up the spare.
That didn't work. Let's try that again. That's a little better. Saved it.
Zero into the mark.
Okay.
Let's see that spare again. Killer. What a great shot. We're at the top of frame 4.
So my point is, on a Golden Tee, the 3 buttons on the left are very useful. On this game, they're useless. One of them is overhead, so it just changes the camera to that. Well, you can't bowl like that. And then the other ones are, it rotates the camera to the left or to the right, but just a little bit. So I mean, it doesn't even, there's no reason to even do that. As a matter of fact, it makes it where you can't even tell what the hell you're doing.
Player ready to go.
Uh-oh, a little too much.
We got 8 on that frame. Ball 1.
Oh no.
7 up, 3 down.
I hit it crooked.
Here's a demonstration in precision.
You know, that's not the best way to do it. You should hook it a little bit. Hook it, boy, hook it.
Just enough curve for some extra action.
Boom!
He gets his first strike of the game. Wow, here's that great strike again. Wow, look at that. One for a second strike.
Ah, man.
Hits 3.
Oh. If you accidentally get started like that,
Nice and slow this time around.
if you accidentally get where you're moving and you don't want to, if you hit the ball change, it'll cancel it.
Just enough speed for some pin action.
Oh, I didn't hook it.
He has 7 left standing. Bowler on the approach. He chooses a slight curve on this one.
Not enough, though.
Oh, bad break. First ball. This curve will give him some extra
Oh,
power.
oh.
Got a sleeper back there.
Yeah, I did. Can I hit it?
He's playing it real safe. Not too fast and not too slow.
Ah, that's it. Come on.
Misses a sleeper. On the straight and narrow. Ends up with a bad wrap.
Little wobbler. A little bit of a wobbler there.
He's got a slight curve.
Too much. Nope, I got it.
Picks up 1 for the spare. Last frame.
Last frame. I'm going to have to try to hook it a little bit. Too much.
Toss is over. This game is over. Almost bowling 110. Thanks for playing Silver Strike Bowling.
Hell, I might be better than that in real life at bowling.
Peterson signing off.
So you know what happened? We saved another one. Now, it's not as cool as saving like a Galaga or something, you know. But we took another game that was in pieces. Why is it going so fast? Is it supposed to do that? We'll see what happens when it gets to the top. We took a game that was in pieces. We got it back together where people can enjoy it. And there are a lot of people that do enjoy Silver Strike. It is a fun game. So, I'm very happy. I'm very, very happy. Will it move on from this? Okay. Just making sure nothing was wrong. Alright, so there you go. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you're trying to build a Silver Strike or something like that, hopefully this will help you by us going through and showing you all the different parts of how everything works together and how it was set up in an original machine and what it looks like in pieces and what it looks like inside of the Nighthawk case and all of that. So hopefully that'll help people if they're trying to construct one of these, or if they've got an empty cabinet and they're trying to get together the parts to make one, or they're trying to do it with off-the-shelf stuff, which you really can't completely do without that security dongle or the in-out board. But just about everything else I think you could make work. So leave your comments below. Let us know what you thought about it. Give us a thumbs up for taking the trouble to film it for you. And if you want to see all the games that we have available for sale, check out our website at lionsarcade.com. We've always got, I'm going to put this one up on there tonight. We've always got it up to date of all of our newest acquisitions. Or you can come see us. We're in downtown Rock Hill, South Carolina. We're about 15 miles south of Charlotte. So stop by or check out our website or subscribe to us. Make sure to ring the bell, and it will tell you every time that we put up a new video. So we appreciate all of our subscribers checking us out. Hope you enjoyed the video. Leave your comments below, and we will see you on the next one. This is Incredible Technologies Silver Strike Bowling.